Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true.
Hello, and welcome to my Beatles YouTube channel. If you like the Beatles, please make sure you subscribe and you check out my other videos because I'm sure you're gonna find them interesting. This is the first video of a new series called Song Secrets of the Beatles, in which we analyze every single Beatles song one episode at a time. Each video is divided in 5 different sections: the story behind the song, in the studio, decoding the lyrics, breaking down the music, and legacy and impact. Today's song is Love Me Do, the first single the Beatles released back in 1962. So let's go ahead with our first section.
The story behind the song, behind the song.
The story behind the song. According to John Lennon, Love Me Do was written by Paul McCartney. He said Paul has had the song lying around for ages, dating back to their Hamburg days, way before the Beatles were songwriters. Paul McCartney, however, recalls differently. He said Love Me Do was completely co-written. He said it was just Lennon and McCartney sitting down without either of us having a particularly original idea. At that time, John and Paul used to write down the lyrics in a school notebook, and writing at the top of each page another Lennon and McCartney original. So let's go ahead with our second section. This is
In the studio, recording the song.
Love Me Do was recorded on 3 different occasions using 3 different drummers at Abbey Road Studios. Of course, at that time it was called EMI Studios in London. The Beatles first recorded the song on the 6th of June 1962 with the first drummer of the Beatles, Pete Best. This version of the song was previously thought to be lost, but the tapes were found and you can hear it on the Beatles Anthology 1. The release of that album was actually really good for Pete Best because he played on many of the songs and therefore got quite a bit of money. The second recording session was on the 4th of September 1962. The drummer was Ringo Starr, who had joined the Beatles a few days before, replacing Pete Best because producer George Martin didn't consider Pete Best to be a good enough drummer for studio work. They recorded the song in 15 takes. The third time the Beatles recorded Love Me Do was on the 11th of September 1962 with session drummer Andy White. Ringo played tambourine in this recording. As tambourine is not present on the other recordings, this is the easiest way to identify this version. This is the recording that you can hear on the album Please Please Me.
Richie going down there, Ringo, sort of like, I'm the new drummer. Listen to me, I'm going to knock Pete into a cocked hat. Same thing happened to him, right? It was very much the case, I hear you, don't like what I'm hearing, so I'm going to get Andy White anyway. And of course, when it came back and it became public knowledge that Andy had actually recorded on Love Me Do and PSLV and done quite a few other little bits and pieces, it was a little bit like, well, as far as I'm concerned, serves you right. It was a little bit like, well, thank you for small mercies.
At the end of the chorus, the song goes, Love Me Do, and right when it says do, that's when the harmonica starts playing, right? Love me, ba-da-da. So the Beatles couldn't really do that in the studio, could they? That's why George Martin said to Paul, you are singing that last bit. And he was like, okay. Because of course it was actually John Lennon who used to sing it before.
We were doing Love Me Do, and John used to sing Love Me Do, and then do the harmonica, Love Me Do. Wah, wah. But George Martin said, no, look, all we've got to do is we've got to have the harmonica come in right on the bar line. So Paul, he said, would you do the Love Me Do bit? And he switched it right there. Said, yes. Okay, so it terrifies me, the studio, just remembering Love Me Do.
However, when they recorded their song Please Please Me, they had the same problem, but instead of making Paul sing it, they just superimposed the harmonica on a different take. So for Love Me Do, we have Paul McCartney, lead vocals and bass, John Lennon, vocals and acoustic guitar, George Harrison, acoustic guitar, Ringo Starr, drums and tambourine, depending on which version, And also we have Andy White recording drums on the final version. The engineer was Norman Smith, and the session was produced by George Martin. So let's go ahead with our next section.
This is decoding the lyrics.
The lyrics of Love Me Do are simple and repetitive, emphasizing themes of love and sincerity. The phrase "Please love me do" shows longing, while "I'll always be true" assures loyalty. Its call and response structure and youthful innocence make it relatable and heartfelt. Pretty simple lyrics, straight to the point, charming. Hi, sorry to interrupt the video. Just a very quick, very important announcement. I published a book. That's right, I published a book. It's called From the Cavern to Abbey Road, a journey through the Beatles' iconic landmarks. In this book, we see the story of the Beatles from the places where everything happened. Some of them are famous, like let's say Abbey Road Studios, and some of them perhaps not so famous, like for example the art gallery where John and Yoko met. I put a lot of work and effort into this book, and it would help me so much if you grabbed a copy. It's available on Amazon all around the world, so if you want your copy, please go to the link in the description. Thank you. Now back to the video. Next section.
Breaking down the music, breaking down the music, breaking down the music, breaking down the music.
The music of Love Me Do is a simple yet charming composition that reflects the Beatles' early influences. Based on a 3-chord progression, G, C, and D, with G7 for variation, it focuses on melody and rhythm. Hi, it's me from the future. I just wanted to add something about the harmony of Love Me Do. We start with a G7, which gives us a very important note for the melody. This is the 7th, which is F. That's Lennon's harmonica part. So G and C. And these are the same chords of the verse.
Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, silence. Love me do. Whoa, love me do.
And now we have a little bridge where it changes and it goes to D, which is the 5th grade of the scale, and the 5th always wants to resolve. It wants to take us back to the 1st chord, the 1st grade of the scale, which is in this case G.
Someone to love, somebody new. Someone to love, someone like you.
So finally, we have our last section.
And finally, this is legacy and impact.
When Love Me Do was released in 1962, it reached number 17 on the UK singles chart. This doesn't sound like much compared to what came afterwards, but at that time it was amazing for the Beatles, who were very excited to be in the charts. In May 1964, during Beatlemania, the song was released as a single in the US, and it reached the number 1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. Being the first single of the Beatles, Love Me Do marked the beginning of an exciting career. David Bowie performed a medley of Love Me Do and The Gin Genie on the 3rd of July 1963 at the Hammersmith Odeon, featuring Jeff Beck on guitar. So that was pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. You can buy my book. That would make me very happy indeed. The link is in the description. Or the free option is just to subscribe to this YouTube channel and maybe click the bell icon so you're the first to know when I upload new videos. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Well, I'm afraid that's us run out of time.
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
sorry.
Well,
So,
thanks.
Bye, everyone.
thank you very much
Thank you.
for
If I gave